Doreen? What's up, Doreen? Wagwan Splash Digi. We're back again, you know. For another late night, you know. You know, I'm going to sleep. And I'm going to be doing a raw reaction of Andre Stevens' interview with the next Prime Minister of Jamaica, Mr. Mark Golding. Yes. So only just give me a second, ladies and gentlemen. I was just waiting on Andre to end this program, so I will go live. Tell a friend for tell a friend for tell a friend. Don't watch the darkness, people. Don't watch the darkness. You can't see the light behind me. Now, first off, I want to say congratulations to Portmore TV for even being able to have this discussion and this dialogue, this interview with Mark Golding after such a huge budget presentation. That is a content creator's or I would say a journalist's dream, because you see the tide shifting, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I want to go to a video that I made. So big congratulations. Big congratulations to Portmore TV on that feat alone. Just to get the interview alone. Now, I cannot properly assess the interview because I didn't see the interview, but I will be going through it. Don't watch the nice. We're still going to go through this tonight. So who up with me, right? Who is up with me, up with me. When I rock out with me, and with the year. I go to the jugular. I'm gonna go to the jugular of this particular interview, you know, where everybody talking about me here's a market G showing paperwork. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think y'all heard me though. I said I heard that Mark Golding showed his paperwork to prove to the Jamaican people and the nasty politician them that he is a full-blown citizen of Jamaica. He is no longer a part of the British colony. You know where Isaac used to say, do that and beat me. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, I was never in doubt that Mark Golding went through the full process. You see, you have to learn how to judge character, you know. You have to learn how to, you know, that's why the Bible says, a man that does not have vision is going to perish. You see, you have to know how to judge a man. We all judge each other, you know. You have to use your discernment. Your discernment is that connection with you and the Most High, because He's the ultimate judge. When you're connected to the Most High, your discernment will be on point. Now, I am not here to assert that the other members of the parliament that are born in Britain and all of these things have not completed their process. I won't even say if I believe or not if they have. Zine, I won't even say that. All I will say for sure is, now the people of Jamaica know, because it was so important to them, you know. It wasn't as important to me, because I'm looking at the character of the man and the fact that the Constitution as it stands, it is not illegal for somebody to be a British citizen and a Jamaican citizen at the same time and be the Prime Minister of Jamaica. It is not illegal. And you know, it's oddly hypocritical, as the JLP people are, you know what I'm saying, Andrew Honest, Malawo Fort and all of them, and especially the ones that criticize Mark Golding for being, you know, his father's son. I mean, what could he do? It's not like he chose to be a British citizen. The mere fact that he was his father's son made him a British citizen, right? So, excuse me. So, I'm going to go to a video, guys. I think I have it on my TikTok. I think I had posted it on my TikTok. Did I? Oh. Yes, I actually did. I don't know if anybody else caught this, but look, listen.
Mr. Speaker, it is unacceptable and indefensible that Jamaicans should be left attached to a court to which only the most wealthy have access. To the shameful situation where a Jamaican citizen, like me, needs a visa needs a visa. Needs a visa. Needs a visa to travel to our final court. When the solution to putting that right lies right here in our hands in this chamber, whether sitting as the House of Representatives or the Senate. And Mr. Speaker,
You know, I know a lot of you didn't catch that. But Marky G is no longer a British citizen. Marky G doesn't have any British passport anymore, ladies and gentlemen. I know some of the dunce people that run about did not catch that. You weren't listening, were you? He is not a British citizen anymore. The man does drop a bombshell in the parliament. Am I the only one that caught this? Well, if I am, this video is going to be posted immediately. Yo! What a bangarang! Boy! We're tired of the great people, them. Marky G, hey. One Marky G. General. Salute. Salute. What a bombshell the man dropping in parliament today. Oh! And there's another bombshell, you know. Don't you know that them suing them for the Portmore parish thing? Yes, that's been filed. You think say they were play with, you know? Andrew, the JLP, one of the things say the man a play with, you know? Time come. Time come. Try remember good. Yes, Lord, hallelujah.
Mr. Speaker, thirdly.
So, ladies and gentlemen, when I heard the debate the other day, and I listened it 2 times, you know, and I caught that part when Marky G said, citizens like me, Jamaican citizens like me, I made that video. I posted it on my TikTok, but I forgot to post it on my YouTube. But listen, the Lord knows best all the time, ladies and gentlemen. I just posted it a while ago and tagged this live stream into it. Because that is the most exciting part. The fact that the man showed his British citizenship is denounced. Jamaican people, what else do you need? To show that this man is serious about your concerns that you have. Although I think it's foolish, you know, me personally. The ones that were concerned about, you know, Mark Golding being a citizen of Britain, I think it was very foolish of you to actually be concerned because the legislation itself states that the man was legal to be the Prime Minister even if he was a citizen. And to compound things, ladies and gentlemen, why I thought it was extremely stupid of the people to have a problem with the man being a British citizen is because Andrew Ones is a Jamaican and he pledged a loyalty to the king as a Privy Council member. Not only is he getting incentive from being a Privy Council member, you should look at the actual pledge that he pledged to the king. That is what you call a double loyalty. Where does your loyalty lie? To the king or to the Jamaican people? So when people were saying Mark Golding can't have 1 foot in and 1 foot out, I was one of the people screaming, wait a minute. The man is a part of the Privy Council that is 1 foot in, 1 foot out. We are trying to move away from the monarch. We are trying to move away from the Privy Council. But he is a part of the Privy Council still. You guys, when I say you guys, I'm talking about the people that didn't get it. I'm not talking about the sensible people. The people that did not get that at first and was pressuring Mark Golding to relieve his citizenship, I want to say, shame on you. And I hope now that he has proven that he's no longer a citizen of Britain, You should never question this man's loyalty again. Do you know what it means for you to denounce his Britishnship, his Britain citizenship? That is like denouncing his father. His father was British. His father was British, ladies and gentlemen. He's denouncing his dad. You guys should be ashamed of yourself. You allow the JLP, dirty JLP members that push this to trick you. You allow the devils, the cockroach them, the lizard them, to trick you. The rat them, to trick you and pressure Mark Golding, ladies and gentlemen, into denouncing his birthright that he got from his father. You all that really push that and pressure that man to do that, you should be ashamed of yourself. I just want to press that home. Again, nobody, none of you that pushed him to do that, you have no right ever again to question the dedication of Mark Golding to the people of Jamaica. This man just lost his mother. His father's legacy is rich. Man that did so much for Jamaica. His father has done more for Jamaica than Andrew Holness and the entire JLP that is in power right now. I have said this before. That man left a real legacy that is helping Jamaicans today, years after he has passed. What has Andrew Holness done for Jamaica that you can say is a legacy that after him leave and gone about in business, it is going to be something we can remember? Yeah, man, you know, he built this hospital and it was the best, you know, it has been the best facility for years and the government has done a great job to keep it up. He built a school, he has done nothing. Andrew Holness' legacy is the SSL scandal and not being certified. 28 bank account will forever be his name. 28 bank account. And that is it. But let's get into the interview. Again, massive. Man, listen, I'm so happy for Andre. And it could have been anybody. Massive congratulations to Partner TV. Massive. You see me I say? Let's get into the interview.
Roads and other infrastructure. It affects everybody in a very real way in their daily lives. Corruption diverts resources from intended purposes and therefore reduces such investments.
Can't see me, no, but
those were aspects of Mr. Golding's presentation. He spoke about energy. Producer, can you play that news clip about the critiques and what they're talking about his energy plan? Let us hear that today. And then we're going to run through this exclusive with Mr. Golding.
Where is the help for Jamaicans? The question being asked of the JLP-led government due to the high cost of electricity. Opposition leader Mark Golding noted that currently Jamaicans are paying 40 US cents per kilowatt hour for electricity, while under PNP government it was less than 30 US cents. It's why he used his contribution to the 2025-26 budget to chastise the government for what he says is the unwillingness to seek better for the country.
Sat them I got it on Spice TV. That's dope. More if we got to the interview. I thought it was hard cute. Oh, here we go. I don't want to miss anything. Here we go.
Mark Jefferson Golding. Good night, Mark Jefferson Golding.
Good night, Andre.
Good night, sir.
Good to be here with you.
Welcome, sir. It has been long overdue.
Well, nothing before the time, you know.
Awesome. Mark Golding, who told you you could have done what you did yesterday in the parliament?
Well, Andre, we have been working for several years now to prepare ourselves for assuming the reins of government, representing the people of Jamaica. in a way that they need to be represented, even where the country is now. So, in that...
What do you mean by fall asleep? Listen to me now, man. I was sleeping, now I am awake. I am here to go through this entire interview. You understand? Because I'm gonna go through it again in different spurts, but this is my raw reaction. I am listening attentively to what is being said. All right, let's continue.
Period of time we've been thinking about what we need to do to make a difference, and essentially what the budget presentation last week, Thursday, from Julian Robinson, and my presentation yesterday sought to do was to show Jamaica what we're thinking about, how we plan to tackle some of the critical issues. And, you know, there is more to come. I mean, you know, we're in a competitive political environment. Yeah.
Well, there's more to come after what you presented yesterday.
Yes, we have some additional ideas as well, and some more specifics on certain issues as well. But, you know, we are in an environment where we have seen in the past where we have suggested things and the other side has said they can't work, and then shortly on, sometime thereafter, they announce those things and treat them as their own ideas. And, you know,
about the idea of the prepaid electricity that they're now championing as the call for the government.
There you go, you know, and so, you know, we're mindful of that, and, you know, we don't know when the election will be called. We're working on our manifesto, and, you know, the budget debate was a good opportunity to set out, you know, the broad framework and some of our specific proposals as well. And, you know, I'm glad that it has, I believe, been well received by the public, because we're really trying to identify things that are achievable, and that will really make a difference in the lives of our people.
You mentioned yesterday, Mr. Moody, that when you become Prime Minister, you will stop taking monies out of the National Housing Trust.
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
You know that successive Prime Ministers, both JLP and PNP, has seen the NHT as the avenue.
I don't know why cars drive past with their music on blast at this hour of the night. I'd like a sound system. You can imagine a party passing here. It was so loud I had to pause. 1 second, let me go back a little bit. I don't want to miss a beat. Ryan, what up?
PNP has seen the NHT as the avenue to finance their budgets. This Prime Minister, I've done my research, over the 9 years has taken approximately $124 billion from the NHT. How you plan to stop doing that, Mr. Bolo?
100.
All right, so...
Wait. $124 billion them take from the NHT, but that money is supposed to go towards building houses. Listen, that money was supposed to build houses for people. No, I'm not about on Splash the G. The money those monies are supposed to build houses for the people of Jamaica that contribute to the NHT, and they just use the money. Like, that's a lot of money. Yo, hold up. Wait. Hold up. 124 billion? Mighty God.
Prime Minister, I've done my research. Over the 9 years has taken approximately $124 billion.
Ball out, Jamaica.
From the NHT. How you
Ball out.
stop doing that, Mr. Bolo?
All right, so the government of the day has been taking $11.4 billion each year from the National Housing Trust. It began at the time when Jamaica's back was really against the wall in terms of the public debt of the country, when we were facing financial disaster coming out of the government of Bruce Golding and then Andrew Holness.
The failed test.
The failed IMF test, the withdrawal of support from the multilateral agencies, the IMF, the World Bank, the Inter-American Development Bank, and then we assumed office at the beginning of 2012, where Jamaica was, our name was in the mud with the international financial community.
We had a bad taste in people's mouth.
That's correct. Took us a year to build back the confidence in the IMF. And in fact, it was the Congressional Black Caucus who really made the difference, because they went to see Miss Christine Lagarde, who was the then managing director of the IMF. I think it was on Christmas Eve in Washington to advocate for Jamaica. And they did persuade her, and the fund decided to give Jamaica another chance. So at that time, when they came hard. You know, they wanted, so we had to run big budget surpluses to start to pay down the debt. And in order to achieve those budget surpluses, we did a survey, and we engaged professional independent experts, and they said, you can take $11.4 billion for 4 years out of the NHD and not compromise its operations. Yeah, and so we passed an amendment to the NHD Act that specifically allowed that for 4 years. At the time, the then opposition, the JLP, looked out hard against it. An affiliate of theirs took the matter to court. They lost that case. The court said it was lawful what was being done, but it was never intended to do it for more than 4 years. When they came
talking about the leader of the opposition, Andrew Holness, then.
Yes.
He came.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to remind Jamaica tonight what he said about the NHD. Producer, there is a clip with him and Dion Jackson. I want you to find that clip, because
yo, listen to me, Andre. If he didn't, you see, if he didn't say he's gonna do it a while ago, I'm about to go look for that clip, because I know I have it in my evidence. And I did a whole show about it earlier, because it is, you see, ladies and gentlemen, context matters, you know. How in the world is the PMP going to use a provision for a temporary situation where the monies from the NHT is concerned? The same JLP is going to be against it, to the point where they went to court. To court, you know? That is how much they were against it. It was even spoken about in the interview with Dion Jackson Miller. And he was asked about his stance. The man said, yo, it should be used for nothing else but what it was slated to be used for in the Constitution and in its mandate. And everybody was with him. But then he comes into power and he does the total opposite of what he said he would not do. He cannot be trusted. That man cannot be trusted, ladies and gentlemen. I judge you based off your actions. That alone, no, you can't trust this man. Let's continue.
I think it is very timely. Find
that in principle, you believe that NHT funds should be ring-fenced to be used for NHT contributors.
It should be ring-fenced to use for the objects and purposes of the legislation. Yes.
So let's just say the court ruling goes either way. Let's say there is a court ruling that says no, actually the government can use it for whatever it wants. You have your belief in principle. Does that mean that as Prime Minister you would then follow through on those principles?
Yes,
either amend the law if necessary, yes, and ensure in fact that the dipping into the piggy bank doesn't occur?
And I tell you why.
That's a commitment?
I think it stands as a commitment. And I tell you why. There is a point of view that all public funds should be pooled, whether they are in trusts or that, you know, having the public sector funds fragmented in this way doesn't help the central government. But then there is also another view that there are some funds that belong to account holders, funds like pension, funds like the NHD, and those funds ought to be totally excluded because technically they are the private property of contributor.
What a man lie.
That was wholeness in opposition like you in opposition.
The man says a commitment,
So
you know?
we know you're not going to change on the country like how Andrew Holness has changed that.
So let me tell you what happened. So when
Excellent question, Andre. Wonderful question. That is a question that a lot of people wanted a journalist to ask Mark Gold. That was the perfect question. You have to challenge. You have to challenge the man. And guess what? You see, a real leader, he's not going to be upset about you challenging him like that. He relishes that opportunity. And I'm going to give the president of the UIC credit. As a young journalist or a freeload journalist, independent journalist, whatever you want to call it, I did an interview with him. And behind the scenes, I have the text up to this day. The man said, listen, don't give me no softball question, hit me with the hard stuff. Pause. You understand? He wanted me to pressure him to give him the tough questions because he wasn't afraid of it. He didn't want me to give him any alley hoops. Yeah. So I see that same quality in this instance. One, Andre as a journalist, 100%. And two, Mark Golding, happy to answer that question. Let's see what he has to say.
tell you what happened. So when the JLP came to power in March 2016,
Yes.
every election, not long thereafter, having said all that and what they had said in Parliament saying that what we were doing was wrong and so on, they proceeded to amend the NHT Act again. The 4 years had come to an end and extend that, and they've actually extended it for 8 more years since the original 4 years. So the 11.4 billion, instead of just being taken over 4 years, which would have been, 45 billion, what thereabouts, it has been taken for 12 years now.
Whoa.
Wow.
Now that period expires, I believe, in March 2026. This is the last fiscal year ahead of us, where the law allows it to be taken.
Yes.
And our view is it should not be extended any further, because it was never intended that should be a permanent arrangement. Jamaica didn't rely on those funds prior to the very difficult situation the country was in 2013. And we need to wean ourselves off of using the funds, resources to fund the national budget. And we believe that is more than possible. And it could have been done already, but they chose not to do it.
So I'm going to ask you again, Mark Jefferson. Should you take the realm of Prime Minister and you go into the scoffers and you see that there's
Timo.
Because already we are seeing signs that the cookie jar is empty.
Yes, it does. It does.
How then are you going to?
Yeah, man, the Cash App works, bro. The Cash App works. I got it right here on my phone. Let me just rewind this a little bit.
The funds, resources to fund the national budget. And we believe that is more than possible. And it could have been done already, but they chose not to do it.
So I'm going to ask you again, Mark Jefferson. Should you take the realm of Prime Minister and you go into the scoffers and you see that there's nothing in there? Because already we are seeing signs that the cookie jar is empty. How then are you going to proceed to stop using the NHT 11 billion to finance this pretty fancy budget that we have being presented by?
What a question.
The budget that is currently being approved for the coming fiscal year, which begins on April 1, that budget contemplates another 11.4 billion being taken from the NHT. That's the budget that the government has presented. All right.
Yes.
As I've said, my recollection is that this is the last year that the act which they passed allows it to be taken. Okay. Good.
Thank you so much for the Cash App, bro. I got it. Thank you, my brother. I see you. Thank you.
Going forward, we will not be relying on those resources. For example, every year as the economy expands, albeit slowly,
Yes.
the tax base of the country, the resources, the revenue of the country expands as well. So, for example, in the coming fiscal year, they're projecting, I think it's over 50 billion more in tax revenue than they collected this year. That's now ending. So it's really a question of why then, if your tax revenue is increasing year and year and year, and they talk about no new taxes, but the tax revenues grow because the tax system has improved. Under our watch, a lot of things were done to make the tax system more efficient at collection and so on, and that has borne tremendous fruit. So Jamaica has seen its revenues grow significantly over the last 8 years. Yet they've continued to take this 11.4 billion every year. There have been some years in the period where they've actually exceeded their revenue target by close to $100 billion. Yeah, but they're still not. To my mind, this can't go on because it's affecting NHT's operations. The NHT no longer funds its loans itself, other than the loans to the lowest band of income earners, 30,000 and below. But borrowers above that have to go to the private institutions and pay those fees and those mortgage insurance requirements and so on. And the NHT has to pay an interest rate subsidy to the private lenders, because the private lenders are not going to lend at the NHT's rates. But he wants the borrowers to get their rates. So they have to pay a subsidy, which is a big expense for the NHT. So we're saying...
Minister, Mr. Golding, you're basically saying that 11 billion is going back into the NHT to do what it is primarily caused and trusted to do.
Correct. It will be left there. We will not be taking it out any longer. And in fact, what we have said is we plan to recapitalize the NHT by providing it with lands that the government to replace some of those resources that were taken out over the time, that it can then use to develop affordable housing. And we will, in the pricing of affordable housing, not include the land cost or the value of the land to the purchaser of those units. So they will get that value without having to pay for it. Given that they have been contributors to the fund, but these resources were taken out of the fund.
Oh my God.
So this is an idea that we have as to how to reduce house prices at the affordable housing level that we're trying to bring to the people.
Listen, Linda. Listen, my good people. Leprechaun, what's up, Timo? Thank you again for the cash app. Oh my God. You see the housing part? That tickles me. I am so ready. Bring it on. Father, please give Mark Golden your blessing. I'm talking about in speed, in turning this country around in the right way. I heard him talk about bringing Jamaica back under God, increasing beauty, fellowship, and prosperity, so we can play our part in welfare and advancing the whole human race. Yes, the housing people, the housing. I'm going to tell you, I love it.
Reduce house prices at the affordable level. But one thing that really sparked me yesterday is when you said you're developing a fund that can assist young professionals like myself, teachers, nurses, soldiers, doctors, everyone out there, so that they can go to the NHT to get what you call it, Mr. Golding. Can you tell us that idea? Because I've never heard any leader come with this idea.
Yes. Well, we have a plan in relation to housing, which I think is transformational and very, very necessary. Because what we have found is that there is a tremendous challenge to young people to find a deposit, which out of their own resources, to buy a house. So what we have said is, look,
listen,
the NHT can, out of its own resources, this is not going to cost the government any money. The NHT can, out of its own resources, provide a fund, and we've said initially we'd start that fund with $1 billion, which would allow purchasers who are up to 35 years old, who have been contributors to the fund for at least 2 years, they would be eligible to take advantage of the Young Owners Deposit Fund, we call it. The young owners deposit fund. Yes.
Okay.
And they could get a grant of up to $500,000 to help them with their deposit. And then they could finance the rest with a mortgage. Now, this is just in particular for where they're using the NHT to buy into other schemes. Because on NHT schemes, my understanding is that they don't need that deposit at all if the NHT is the developer. But for other developers, like the other big housing developers that there are out there, they're using NHT funding for that. They still have to find the deposit. And this young owners deposit scheme fund will help them to finance that deposit through a grant. And so we think that there's a very significant benefit.
PNP administration as you as Prime Minister, a grant, according to a Prime Minister in Barbados, a grant is free money. So you're saying that you plan to help the young professionals in this country, not just owning a house, but giving them the first grant to deposit into to get in their house.
Yes, because the deposit typically, I believe, is in the range of 10% of the price of the house. It may vary, but that's been a traditional deposit amount in Jamaica. And we want to say 500,000 will be provided for the young contributors who are buying their first home typically, and they're struggling to find that deposit. This grant scheme will help them to achieve it.
And your argument is if you stop taking the 11 billion out of the NHT annually, the NHT will have enough resources to support these initiatives.
Bingo.
Yes, that's right. And that is what the NHT was established to do. The NHT was established under the governance of when Michael Manley was Prime Minister in the 70s. He established the National Housing Trust as a vehicle to enable workers of the country who contribute to the fund to get housing. So when you deplete the housing trust of resources over such a long period, you're compromising its ability to do the things that it was set up to do. And those things are very, very needed because there's a tremendous shortage of housing in the country, especially affordable housing, you know, for people who just want to get their toehold into ownership. You know, they can acquire a relatively modest house initially and they can expand on it and build their castle, you know. So we want to really try and tackle that through a variety of ideas that I put on the table yesterday.
I really appreciate this discussion. I'm asking
people, not only are you going to earn, you know, the ability to purchase your own home through that initiative, and you're talking about young people, what that is going to do is really drive the economy, you know. Because when you have young people, the age is 32, you know, just going into the workforce, and they can see themselves owning their own home and building their castle, like he's saying. There's a saying in Jamaica that says, encouragement strengthens labor. You understand? And that is what this program will be doing. I'm not a young person of that age, but I'm extremely happy. I am extremely happy because what that is going to do is going to affect crime as well, you know. And it's going to affect crime in a positive way. It's going to lessen crime. When you have more productive people in the country that sees a future for themselves and their family, they will look at the world and their situation in a different way, and they will make more sounder choices, ladies and gentlemen. So this initiative to have people, younger people, own their own home, and not just the home, but the equity of the land itself, because they are not going to charge them for the land. Ladies and gentlemen, they are going to use lands that the government owns to build these properties for people to buy, low-income housing. And then they're going to give the young people the grants so they can have their starter payment for the properties. Man, if that is not a bang, bang, and boom, I don't see nobody can. Can I just say this off topic? I saw a Twitter thread reel of Daryl Vaz. Bro, embarrassing. I'm talking about You really went up against Damian Crawford in maths, bro, on the internet. Yeah, you were special type. You special.
I'm asking Jamaica to like up this live because we have a good amount of time with Mr. Good.
Yeah, man, tap the
But
screen,
let us
people.
continue like Mr. Good.
Double tap.
The teachers of this country balling out.
True.
We are in a serious crisis when it comes down to education.
Mm-hmm.
I heard you championed yesterday with Julian and Damian Crawford echoing not just 1 degree per household, but feeding the nation's children.
Yes.
And you said, I listened keenly when you said you want to expand the program, not limiting it to 1 meal, but also potentially carrying on a breakfast program. So you are looking at 2 meals per day.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially.
That's the aim.
Schools.
You see, the background to this, Andre, is that we have a high level of absenteeism in the school system. Children not attending school 5 days a week. And financial reasons are often the cause of this. The cost of the lunch money and the cost of bus fare and so on. So we want, and that compromises, that affects negatively the performance of the students and how much they learn and how well they do in school.
Right.
So we want to take away the hungry belly aspect of schooling that unfortunately exists for many children in Jamaica now. And so we think this is a very critical thing to do.
Yes.
And it's done on the path already to an extent. We want to extend it though, because as the UN study has shown, Jamaicans, 55% of Jamaicans are facing moderate to severe food insecurity, meaning they're not getting the diet that they need to be healthy. So we want our children to at least come to school and get a nutritious meal. That will also help our farmers, because that will enable them to have that as a market for their produce as well.
You mean the farmers who balling out?
That's right. And then, we would, because we have to operate in the fiscal space.
Oh my God. He said the farmers who balling out. Yo, Andre, bro. Yo, he even put humor into it. Listen, man. Andre, I know it's not the whole interview, but I've heard enough and I've seen enough from Andre's body language. Andre is very comfortable in this interview, but he's sharp. He's asking all the right questions so far. So far, I give it a 10 out of 10. Every single issue, the follow-up questions, and then transitioning into the other questions, 10 out of 10, brother. 10 out of 10.
And we're very committed to ensuring that Jamaica continues to do what we started and the JLP government has continued, which is to ensure that
he had a
froze. He froze.
This interview is going well. Mr. Golden has a glitch. I hope they can help him to get back in.
The devil is a liar. That's so long English for?
This interview thus far. He'll be coming back. We're talking about education and nutrition.
That's so long English for?
Can you, did we have a break for translation, Andre?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Mr. Golden is back.
All right, good. Yes. Thank you. Yes, so I think it's very important that we ensure that our students get at least 1 good meal a day at school. And as the economy grows and fiscal situation improves, we will be able to expand it to the breakfast program. Yeah. And that is all that.
Your teachers.
Ivan, what's up?
Yes.
Talk to your teachers today, because many of them are saying, Andre, things are really bad. And if they get the solution to leave, they're going to leave. As Prime Minister, you need the teachers to stay so as to keep the economy and the learning space going.
Mm-hmm.
What is your plan to retain the teachers and professionals in this country?
Andre, you've hit the nail on the head. we do have a problem with retaining our teachers. We train teachers, and then many of them are not satisfied, they're not comfortable, and they decide if another opportunity is provided where they can go elsewhere, many of them take that decision. And we want to try and encourage them to stay, because national development requires a strong educational system. So our children are well educated and can progress into the world of work with the necessary background of education and training to be productive and to earn good money working good jobs. So we want to encourage our teachers to stay. What we plan to do is a variety of things that we have come up with. So we have, for example, we intend to give teachers who have a student loan on their, that they've borrowed to go through their teacher training.
Yes.
We will provide a system of reduction of the balance of their loan over time if they stay in the system. And similarly, we have a plan that the motor vehicle concession, to enable them to buy a vehicle without incurring the duty. We would allow that concession to increase over time as well. So the longer they stay in the system, the more valuable that concession would become for them.
So if it's 10 years, then get a big partner draw with the concession.
Yes, exactly. And then, so we want to encourage them to stay in the system. So we're really dependent.
About 20 years under year.
Again, that is not a handout, ladies and gentlemen. That is an ingenious plan to keep our brain in Jamaica instead of it draining overseas. You guys know what a brain drain is. It's when the best minds in the country leave the country for better pastures. Jamaica is we have a crisis with brain drain. It's not just the roads. Jamaica has a legitimate crisis with brain drain. They don't want to stay, and the government is doing nothing. They have come up with no ideas whatsoever to motivate those people to stay. But they motivated themselves to stay with a 200 to 300% increase, ladies and gentlemen. Right? And Nigel Clark still left. Think about that. Nigel Clark. The reasoning by Andrew Owens is that for these bright minds, for us not to have a brain drain in the government, let us pay these individuals a lot of money, significant amount of money compared to what they were being paid before. And Nigel Clark still left. Let that sink in. Yeah, he still left. Let's continue.
Probably I'm getting a free car when I go to the car bar.
Well, we'll see. Those details need to be worked out. But the principle of the thing is that every year that you stay in the system, you're building your value in the concessions, and you're reducing your liability in the debt. So it encourages you to stay and teach our children.
So you talk about the concession.
Yeah.
You
Then we want, yes.
Student loan, but you never get this. And also the 500,000 deposits. There are three things that already.
Yeah. And there used to be a special NHT arrangement where public servants got a lower interest rate than everybody else. Just acknowledging the fact that they are giving service to the public, and sometimes they weren't earning what people earn in the private sector and so on. We want to reintroduce that benefit. So we plan to give.
Taken away from the teachers and the public servants.
Yes, it was taken away under this government. Yeah. And so we plan to restore that and give them an interest rate reduction so that they can at least save a little from that as well. And we have a plan to remove all taxes from laptops and tablets for teachers and students. We don't think that in the digital age where we're delivering lessons, often it needs access to those devices, that the state should be increasing the cost of them to the teachers who deliver those lessons, not to the students who are there to learn them. So we plan to remove the taxes from those devices for them. And we also plan to talk to the internet providers and see if we can negotiate with them a package deal, which we would underwrite as government, so that teachers could have free internet access.
Wait. So you want to talk to Digicel and Flow and any other service provider out there?
Correct.
So yourself and Philip Paulwell will be negotiating, and Damian Crawford will be negotiating so that the teachers basically get free internet each month.
Yes, because we see it as a tool of their trade.
Exactly.
Their lessons are delivered using the internet sometimes, and so we think that is a valuable benefit for the education system and for the teachers. So we plan to do that. We that is something which we are discussing, and we'll see, to what extent we're able to deliver on it. But we know that because you're talking about a large number of teachers, this is something which, it may cost us something to do it, but we think it is worthwhile, and we're going to try and get that done as well. So what I'm really saying is we're thinking about ways in which we can encourage our teachers to stay in the system here. And, I know that many of them feel that coming out of the wage restructuring that went on in recent years, the classroom teachers in particular didn't get a good deal.
Yeah.
And many of them feel dissatisfied about that. And I don't want to be...
And can you talk about, and you don't want the teachers to drive a Probox, am I correct? I'm sure you don't want them to drive a Probox.
Yo, Mikey G laughing. Mikey G. Yo, I ain't gonna lie, man. This is already an excellent interview. A mixture of tangible, critical questions being asked by Andre Stevens, and we're getting clear and concise, or clear and precise answers. Genuine, honest answers from a man of integrity, a man with integrity, a man that is trustworthy, Mark Golding. And then the comedy. Probox around here.
I don't want the teachers to drive a Probox.
Oh my God.
I'm sure you don't want them to drive a Probox.
Oh my God, Andre is terrible.
Yes, well, the point really is this, Andre. We want them to be comfortable, and we're trying to think of creative ways that we can make their lives more comfortable.
Right.
And as the economy improves, and we will try and do other things as well. But for the time being, these are the things that we've identified.
Are your teacher retention plans?
Yes, that's right.
I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
You mentioned just now about the negotiation that happened for the public sector.
Yes.
That saw your parliamentary colleagues getting that lump sum and the teachers and others getting 20%. When you become Prime Minister, should you become Prime Minister of Jamaica, are you planning of reviewing the salary structure for the public service?
Well, it is something which I think, always has to be looked at. At the time that the whole issue of what parliamentarians and ministers should be paid, and when that big controversy arose, I said that it really should be a situation where an independent body makes a recommendation in relation to that, rather than the people who are making the laws or governing the country deciding how much they should be paid, because clearly they have a conflict of interest in deciding that issue.
You think?
Nevertheless, the government proceeded in the way.
Hi, Colin.
And, I have myself made a commitment that I would stick to the 20%. It didn't lie in my power to say don't pay me, because they send the money to my bank account. But I have been using 80% of my increase to do what I regard as good works, and that is something which I've continued, and I'm still doing it. But
and just for public records, if I go and find out the details which will show you that the 80% from then till now, you have been consistent in doing good deeds with it.
Yes, I have. And in terms of what we plan to do on the overall...
So that's huge. So Mark Golding did not take the 80% increase. He's using the 80% increase for quote-unquote good deeds that are documented. Ladies and gentlemen, can we put the fire emojis in the chat for that? I think Marky G deserves some orange hearts for that. Even the Labour Right's supposed to drop an orange heart for that. Come on, man. Come on, man. Don't be haters, man. Drop some orange hearts in the comment section for that. That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful.
Compensation front. You know, we see the issue of the middle tier, the classroom teachers and some of the other public sector workers who really got that 20% at a time when it was quite a high inflation environment. You know, we recognize that, you know, their situation needs to be addressed. I don't want to make any promises on that tonight because those get on about very big numbers there when you start to adjust those things. And I know that there's now a new round of negotiations that is just beginning. You know, so I want to see how that plays out. But you know, we are mindful of the pain that they feel and the frustration that they're under, and we want to do what we can to make life better for them. And that's why we've been talking about these other things, you know, especially in relation to public servants with the interest rate benefit that we want to restore, and various other things that I announced yesterday.
But in talking about your presentation, you spent some time on the issue of corruption.
Yeah.
Before I go to that, paper plate, whether it's peanuts for him or not, you have to admit it's the thought that counts. He could have used the money to advance his wealth if he's just... Remember, there's a lot of rich people and wealthy people that are very frugal with their money, you know. They're not just trying to give it away unless they're getting some type of incentive to do so. Mark Golding never advertised to anybody. And I'm not attacking him, I'm just saying. Mark Golding never advertised to anybody what he actually did with his income. This interview came up and questions was asked about it. And I think it was the perfect situation for him to actually give the response, to give clarity. Like, listen, we were gonna get the increase. They had the JLP have the majority of the house, so they were gonna do it anyway, right? So I just kept the same amount of money that I was collecting, and when he gets into power, he's going to go through the process that he was actually saying they should go through at first, which was, let us go to the people and have them decide. Because we are biased. Obviously, we are going to want more money, right? No, if you give the employee, can you imagine down at Sandals? This is actually what happened. The employees done by Sandals, this is a parody of what actually happened in Parliament, you know, with the monies, the raise, you know. So you have the employees done by the North Coast, right? The Sandals and all of them. And they came to the conclusion that, you know what, we deserve some more money. And they gave themselves, in some instances, a 200 to 300% increase on their salary. And that is like giving puss butter for carry. You gave your employees, which boss gives their employees that type of power? Don't worry, I'll wait. None of them. None of them. As a matter of fact, you got to fight and claw to get an increase in an establishment. Fight. No matter how good things are. The bosses of the world nowadays, they ain't trying to give you no more money. They trying to keep the money that they got for you at the level where it's at. So, hey, there needs to be some legislation and something put in the Constitution to not allow politicians to ever be able to do that again without consulting the people of Jamaica in some capacity. Yeah. I'm not saying that the politicians should be underpaid. I really think that they should be working on a credit basis in terms of what have you done for me lately? You don't just become a politician and you have this salary and you sit down and do nothing and still have your salary. The people need to be able to fire politicians mid and at any moment. Yes, they should be able to fire politicians at any moment. There should be a process to fire. Am I back, guys? Am I back?
Commission, which was a single body. It has proper information that they ought to be able to receive. So what? Well, I believe that it's very important to restore trust and confidence.
I should be back.
The elected leaders of the country and those who govern. And I was involved. I was the architect of the Integrity Commission, because when I became Minister of Justice, it didn't exist, and there was a fragmented system where there was one entity that dealt with parliamentarians, another entity that dealt with public servants. Then there was a contractor general as a third entity. They couldn't share information in between them, or they couldn't receive information.
The devil is a liar. Look when they want to come cut me off, people. When the man talk about corruption. This was such a great question. Let me go back. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I hope the people come back. Remember, I don't have Wi-Fi, so I'm using my phone. The same phone I was using to like give me some light. I guess I have a signal issue here with the data, so I guess I have to keep it on this side. So come on back, ladies and gentlemen. Come on back. Let's go.
Go and find out the details, which will show you that the 80% from then till now, you have been consistent in doing good deeds with it.
Yes. And in terms of what we plan to do on the overall compensation front, we see the issue of the middle tier, the classroom teachers and some of the other public sector workers who really got that 20% at a time when it was quite a high inflation environment. We recognize that their situation needs to be addressed. I don't want to make any promises on that tonight, because those get on about very big numbers there when you start to adjust those things. And I know that there's now a new round of negotiations that is just beginning. So I want to see how that plays out. But we are mindful of the pain that they feel and the frustration that they're under, and we want to do what we can to make life better for them. And that's why we've been talking about these other things, especially the public servants, the interest rate benefit that we want to restore, and various other things that I announced yesterday.
But in talking about your presentation, you spent some time on the issue of corruption.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You said corruption is a scourge to the society.
Quite so.
How will Mark Jefferson Golding, Prime Minister of Jamaica, deal with an issue of a Minister of Government found doing hanky-panky?
Well, I believe that it's very important to restore trust and confidence in the elected leaders of the country and those who govern. And I was involved. I was the architect of the Integrity Commission, because when I became Minister of Justice, it didn't exist, and there was a fragmented system where there was one entity that dealt with parliamentarians, another entity that dealt with public servants. Then there was a contractor general as a third entity. They couldn't share information in between them, or they couldn't receive information from other agencies of government that have the information that they ought to be able to receive. So I decided, look, we did a study. I appointed a committee of advisors. They looked at various systems across the world, made some recommendations as to what they thought the best practices were, and we got cabinet approval for a new Integrity Commission, which was a single body. It has prosecutorial powers, it has powers to share information and to receive information from other agencies that need to be in a position in the tax system, in the law enforcement system, and so on. And I brought that legislation to Parliament. We took it to a joint select committee. to review it. It was thoroughly reviewed. The election was held. The government changed, and this government, they passed it into law. But all that work was already done. But of course, what has happened is, in doing their work, the Integrity Commission has exposed some things the government's very uncomfortable about, and they have been sorry?
Exposing the illicit aid?
Yes, the illicit aid, who we still don't know who they are other than one. And the
other than one that searched far and wide?
Yes, the Prime Minister himself, whose report came to Parliament in, I think it was August or September last year, and that issue is unresolved. So in answer to your question, what my view, 28, the 28 bank accounts.
I want to put you one.
We need help, Jesus. Jamaica need help. Shift the parliament.
Woo!
Shift the election. Shift everything. Remove them all there. Take out the cockroach. Take out the thief.
Bolo
Take out the
people.
criminal them.
Take them out. Take them out.
Take out the murderer them.
Take them
Take out the
out.
gang leader them.
Take them
Parliament.
out.
Take them out.
Mighty God.
Take them out.
Take them out.
Never Portland. Take out somebody.
Take out somebody. Take them out. Man or woman. Where's the Marky G about 28 bank account? Marky G, where's
So
sir?
in answer to your question, what
Bank accounts, Mr. Cody.
28. The 28 bank accounts.
I want to ask you one question. It's how many you have?
I have 2 bank accounts, which I operate, a US account and a Jamaican account. And I have another account which is really almost dormant, which I don't, 30 years ago I haven't closed it, but I don't really use it much.
So basically 3 bank accounts you have?
Yes. And my children, my children have accounts as well.
But your children have nothing to do with your...
No, their thing is different, and my wife as well. She has an account.
And I swear, not to be inquisitive, but I swear that your wife and your account, right?
Yes. We share an account.
Oh, some other country said that to Mr. Golding.
What are they? What are they?
What can go so?
Oh.
What can go so?
Yo, I don't like Andre. Andre said, I don't mean to be inquisitive. Mr. Mark Golding. But you and your wife share an account.
What can go?
Let me play that back. Oh my God. Oh, I got tears in my eyes, y'all. Oh, Jesus.
But I swear that your wife and your account, right?
Yes.
Oh, so that country said that to Mr.
Thing is different, and my wife, she has an account.
And I swear, not to be inquisitive, but I swear that your wife and your account, right?
Yes, we share an account.
Oh, so that country said that to Mr. Golding.
Well, I can't speak for them, I can't speak for other people to their thing. But you asked the question, how would we deal with hanky panky? Well, first of all, the Integrity Commission.
Andre, you're horrible, bro. Andre, you're too bad. You shouldn't do it. Andre, why do it, Andre? Touch Andre, yes. See, Andre, yeah. Yes, I talked about that. Could you clarify that, Mr. Golden? Oh, Lord have mercy. Let's continue.
A leadership code of conduct, which set out 7 principles of good governance that they wanted the political leaders of the country to sign on to. And I was the first person to sign that code. And all of our parliamentarians have signed it. And even some of our spokespersons who are not in parliament, they have all signed it as well. The leadership code of conduct.
You have a prime minister who hasn't signed the code of conduct.
Hasn't signed
His
it.
minister hasn't signed the code.
None of his ministers have signed it yet.
And also the senators have not signed the code of conduct.
That's correct.
Unacceptable. Very much
and,
so.
You know, my team understand how important this issue is, and they understand that there will not be a tolerant approach towards violations of that code or violations of ethical standards in government. As I said yesterday, the ethical base of the country is vital for national development. You know, that we see a lot of issues in the society with the decline in moral behavior and good standards. And we know that there are many
blessings, Belinda.
That is a real problem, including me. And we want to kind of focus on that and work with the churches and work with other groups that see this as important and try and bring around a change in how people view these issues of how them should conduct themselves, how we deal with each other with respect, etc. Now, in government, money is for the benefit of the people. It's for the benefit of taxpayers and others who are citizens of this country. And so anyone who is going to doing anything irregular to get some kind of financial benefit under the table for themselves or their cronies and so on, you know, I will expect that to be properly investigated fairly. It's not, everybody's entitled to due process, but the law must run its course, you know, and the chips must lie where they fall. You know, that is my view on it.
You introduced an impeachment bill in the parliament.
I did, Andre.
Before Andre goes there, guys, do that and beat Mark Golden. He has declared publicly that he has made it clear to his team that under his leadership, he will not tolerate any skullduggery. Well, that ship has sailed for Andrew Honest, because several people in Andrew Honest's cabinet skullduggery. Resign, come back. Skullduggery. I'm talking about billions and trillions of dollars unaccounted for. Resign and get rewarded afterwards. Already, that is a huge difference between leaderships. One is trustworthy, and they're very clear on their stance and their actions, not just saying it. Mark Golden is very clear on his actions. Who remember the situation with, I think, is it the mayor or the councillor down by Mobius side? Him said something about he said something about the scammer them, right? Like him agree with, you know, the scammer, like him wanna give them props or something. And that man was taken off the ballot, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, immediately. And you know what I saw from that situation? One, Mark Golden's leadership, and two, the respect that he commands from his colleagues that he leads. Because that man came out and he said, you know what, I was wrong. I'd sit down with the leader, and I still support I still support the People's National Party. Yes. He might say him feel a way, but the boss is the boss, and the boss is right. So Mark Golden has really done an excellent job in setting himself aside from to the point where we can say, yes, Mark Golding is a leader with clean hands, and he has operated as such. He is definitely not encouraging any skullduggery, and he has shown that he is going to take immediate action, swift action, in dispelling any type of behavior like that from his party. And we cannot say the same for Andrew Holness. Let's continue.
I did, Andre.
What has your impeachment?
I'm not, it's not, everybody's entitled to due process, but the law must run its course, and the chips must lie where they fall. That is my view on it.
You introduced an impeachment bill in the parliament.
I did, Andre.
What has your impeachment bill from 2020?
So, the history of it is that Bruce Golding, he introduced an impeachment bill when he was Prime Minister, shortly before he got into his problems, and he ceased to be Prime Minister, and that bill was never passed, and it fell out of the Parliament. When this thing happened with the MP out over in Westmoreland, and the whole issue on the video and the beating of a woman in a school in a car park, it was such an offense to the that is my view on it.
Sorry about that, guys.
You introduced an impeachment bill in the parliament.
I did, Andre.
What has your impeachment bill from 2020?
So, the history of it.
Marky G love.
He introduced an impeachment bill when he was Prime Minister, shortly before he got into his problems, and he ceased to be Prime Minister, and that bill was never passed, and it fell out of the Parliament. When this thing happened with the MP out over in Westmoreland, and the whole issue on the video and the beating of a woman in a car park, it was such an offense to the conscience of the nation to see that, which has never been denied. I said, look, we have to revive this impeachment bill. And I looked at it, and I'm a lawyer by profession. I've done a lot of development of legislation when I was Minister of Justice. So I did some adjustments to take care of things like that.
Yes.
And I tabled the bill. I brought what's called a private member's bill, not a government bill. Me as an MP, opposition MP, has tabled it 3 years ago, I think. And I wanted it to be sent to a joint select committee. So you could come there, and if you want to talk to Parliament on your views as to what it should say or shouldn't say, or anyone else, you can come and do so. And we can get the legislation, improved, and then it goes to and it's passed into law. They have not allowed it to move forward. They have not taken. And in fact,
wow.
You think they're not allowed to move forward because who leading the nation probably you'd use that to impeach it?
And you see, the Constitutional Reform Committee that they set up.
Thank you to touch on that.
It was what the impeachment legislation that Bruce Golding wasn't doing something of his own, It was something that out of the constitutional reform discussions and report of the 1990s crystallized into some agreed positions. Impeachment was one of those. However, the Constitutional Reform Committee that has been formed in the last couple of years.
Yes. They haven't taken on the issue of impeachment.
No, they have rejected it. They have rejected.
That is a fact. But I didn't know that Bruce Golding didn't do it on his own. It was something that was discussed and agreed upon on a joint select committee. Very interesting. These details, ladies and gentlemen. These details. We'll be doing a deeper dive into this. Let's continue.
Constitutional reform bill that they tabled in this have anything in it with impeachment.
That is why you are saying that you're concerned about the way constitutional reform is being done in this country.
Yes.
That's one of the reasons. There are others, but that is one of them. Yeah.
But we can't on the CCJ. You're going to come potentially for other programs so we can discuss the issue.
Other issues, yes. Sure, we can do that, Andre.
So, you're talking about impeachment.
Hey,
But I see
Andre is the man smart. He just secured on the interview another interview midway the interview. He just got verbal confirmation that from Marky G that he'll be coming back on to discuss further issues. You know, say some people not sleep tonight, Jamaica, and them not sleep for different reasons. Hey, boy, hey, can you imagine? Can you imagine all those people that go against Mark Golden and chat all the craziness of them talk? Yo, them are no wild. Oh crap, my bad, yo. Yeah, am I back? Am I back? Am I back? Am I back? I realized I was buffering. I said, those people are kicking the wall right now, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go.
Commission of Inquiry.
Oh, yes. This SSL saga is a disgrace.
Yes, that's what matter in this country, Mr. Gold.
Yeah.
The
You know,
SS
yes, we, and I must tell you, it was under the People's National Party that developed the regulatory system in its modern form.
Yes.
You know, with the Financial Services Commission dealing with investments and securities in the insurance and pensions, and the Bank of Jamaica regulating banks and deposit-taking institutions. And we have really done well as a nation in avoiding problems in the financial sector, coming out of the era of the 90s when we had that problem then. SSL has gone under, not because of any problems in the system, but internal problems to do with fraud within that institution.
Wow.
And their problems were known to the regulator for some time, and the regulator commenced action to try and ensure that they turned it around and saw a problem. And then at some point under this government, that ended. And
Wow.
the thing really drifted until the proverbial thing hit the fan, and it turned out that our sprint legend, Usain Bolt, and
along with
200 persons, whatever the number is, and they can't get their money.
Wow.
And I think it's tragic because it's such a high-profile situation. And people, not only in Jamaica, but our Jamaicans overseas, and no doubt other persons who are looking on, are thinking, well, how can that happen in a country where you have a regulator and this is a licensed institution? And who is being held accountable for it? Right now, I believe it's only one person who is being held accountable for that employee before the court for it. So, what money, And I think it's tragic because it's such a high-profile situation, and people, not only in Jamaica, but our Jamaicans overseas, and no doubt other persons who are looking on, are thinking, well, in a country regulated and it's a licensed institution, and who's being held accountable for it?
Nobody.
Right now, I believe it's only one person, or who's a relatively low-level employee, court for it. So I'm saying,
how soon are you proposing to launch a commission of inquiry into SSL?
I don't see any reason for any delay. The Minister of Justice under our watch will be tasked with preparing the necessary documents to set up the Commission of Inquiry as right away.
Hey.
Priority business.
So you're saying in the first 6 months, Mark Golding-led administration will launch a Commission of Inquiry. What about the Kroll report? Would you make the Kroll report public?
I think the Kroll report and the Ken Tomlinson report, he was the temporary manager, and he must have delivered a report to his temporary management. Those documents should be made public. If there are things in there that are so sensitive that they could compromise legal matters that are underway, those can be redacted. But things that don't meet that standard should be disclosed, and reports should be disclosed.
So you stand by the word that if there are aspects that needs to be, but you stand that you plan to make that report public.
Yes. Yeah, all for it, and
and that who must be prosecuted will be prosecuted.
Correct.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
That is important, because how can you have confidence if these things happen and nobody?
Exactly. Exactly.
It's not right, and I think that it's a loss on our reputation as an investment destination, and we need to ensure that we correct that. I'm not talking about witch hunts. I'm somebody who believes in fairness, believes in due process, believes in proportional, punishment for the crime and that sort of thing. But I don't believe in impunity, and I don't believe in a lack of accountability. Especially in issues like this, which have become an international scandal. Smirching the image and reputation of our country.
And on the point of the law, you echoed
to be encouraged with the stance and the firm stance that he has taken in terms of tackling, skullduggery in our country. We have to be encouraged, because we cannot say the same for the other side. We have a justice minister, minister of security, a prime minister, people that are in education. They are compromised. They're absolutely compromised, ladies and gentlemen. They don't seem to possess any integrity whatsoever. And this is encouraging.
and you have started a lawsuit for Portmore, the common parish.
Yes.
The former head of the ECJ, Professor Errol Miller, says that if Portmore is constituted a parish, we are going down a very slippery slope of constitutional crisis.
Mm-hmm.
The issue of Portmore, Mr. Golding, gerrymandering is of great concern.
Yes.
You said yesterday that even the utterances of a former senior minister,
Warmington,
who spoke about the reason for the cross-bordering of Portmore, is cause that it needs to be corrected.
Of course.
What is the leader of the opposition saying tonight on the issue of Portmore?
Portmore was essentially built by the People's National Party governments over the years. Greater Portmore scheme under my command, and then PJ. Previously in the 70s, a number of communities were developed and so on. And it is a very large community.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted some autonomy in how they govern themselves. And this is 20 years ago I'm talking about. And a process of engagement and consultation was followed. And they wanted, for example, to have a mayor that they can elect themselves directly. Each resident who is entitled to vote should be able to vote for their own mayor. They wanted to ensure that their civic organizations could be represented on the committees of their council. We passed legislation then to make that happen. And as you know, George Lee was the first mayor, and there have been a series of mayors since. There's been a JLP mayor, there have been PNP mayors, and the current mayor is from the People's National Party. They are not happy with the situation politically. And the minister that you mentioned, said it publicly on our platform, that when they go through this exercise of creating a parish out of Portmore, they're going to cut off certain areas which they feel tend to lean towards the People's National Party and get certain benefits as a result of that. And we're saying that is not a basis upon which you can set boundaries, especially electoral boundaries. We have an electoral commission. Both parties are represented on that commission. There are independent commissioners who are reputable people, fine Jamaicans, who are there to ensure that the electoral system is sound and that free and fair elections are guaranteed. Since the very violent election of 1980, we have seen where political violence has largely disappeared in Jamaica. And this is because the system has been improved and people feel that there are free and fair elections in the country. Now, to use the law and the majority in Parliament to pass an act saying you're creating a parish out of Portmore, but what we're really doing is setting the boundaries of that parish so that you cut through existing constituencies, which will necessitate a realignment because the Constitution does not allow a constituency to lie in two different parishes. So it's going to mean there has to be a realignment around your new parish boundary, which you have fixed to get a political advantage, as you see it. And we say that is a corrupt use of power.
Yes.
We say that is very improper and dangerous for Jamaica.
Yes, man.
And we filed a constitutional motion on Monday to
glad to take them
the
go
court's
court.
relief from this, including the striking down of that legislation.
Oh, you
and
mean?
we intend to pursue that litigation vigorously.
That even if you have to go to the Privy Council, you plan to?
If necessary, because it's still our final court.
Only hear that?
If we need to take it there, we'll take it there.
But on the matter
Wow.
of the ECJ and Portmore, aren't you concerned that the Electoral Commission of Jamaica needs to come out of the office of the Prime Minister?
Well, put it this way, Michael, it has to be in some ministry, because when their matters come to Parliament, then it's brought through a minister.
Okay.
What I'm very uncomfortable with, though, is the political ombudsman having been essentially eliminated, and the contrivance, this gimmick of making the electoral commissioners collectively as one body the political ombudsman. It's not right. We voted against it when they brought that legislation to Parliament a year or so ago, and we went through the local government elections.
So again, this issue with the political ombudsman, I agree with Mark Golding 150%. The political ombudsman is the umpire, the referee between the two electorate, the PMP, JLP, or in those matters, that individual is non-partisan. That individual is about what is best, fair and free, that benefits the entire Jamaican population. That is what they are there for. Again, this is another case of giving puss butter to carry, because when they remove the political ombudsman, that puss that have the power is not going to want to relieve that power, especially when it doesn't give them an advantage, right? In positions where it doesn't give them an advantage, they will not allow it. Why would they? So we need about the political ombudsman. He's not necessarily concerned about the office being in the office of the Prime Minister. It has to be in a office, and hey, it is what it is.
Went through the local government elections with that system in place, and effectively there was no political ombudsman to deal with the issues that came up during the campaign.
It's already coming up in this campaign.
There are. I mean, we've seen situations where people's billboards are being defaced and that kind of thing.
Right.
Those are the kind of things that the political ombudsman needs to jump on to quickly, bring the parties together, and ensure that it doesn't lead to things that with undesirable consequences.
Right.
It's important, we're going to be going into and we have no means in place right now, but those in place, and it's not for the country. And we call on the Prime Minister to ensure that we restore the political to an independent office and the general is how to take a result.
How recent have you called on him to address the issue of the office of the political ombudsman?
I did it yesterday in my speech.
Yeah.
And I've been saying it previously, but I said it in Parliament yesterday in the budget debate.
Wow. So you believe that he'll respond to the cry reinstating a political ombudsman for this election?
I don't know. They have not indicated that they see it as a necessity. They're the ones who created this problem. They're the ones who, through their majority, passed legislation to essentially eliminate the political ombudsman, because by making the ECJ commissioners the political ombudsman, it works through consensus. So they're dealing with sensitive boundaries and electoral matters. And the way that they resolve it is that they flash vote. And if the two parties don't agree, then the independent commissioners deal with it. And then whatever the final decision is, there's a convention, a practice where the parties accept it and live with it, even if it's not exactly what they wanted. And that's how we've been able to move forward. And our model is regarded around the world as an exquisite model, as a very successful model in how to deal with these matters.
Why would
the
they?
Political ombudsman deals with contentious issues. Issues where he said this, you said that, things.
All right.
Things have gone
Thank
wrong.
you for coming.
And you need to, step into that situation and resolve it. Make a decision as to who you think is wrong, get them to apologize, get them to make address, and so on. It is not the role of the ECJ commissioners to get into that kind of affray.
Yes. But, Mr. Golding, on that point, the ECJ put out a statement over the weekend that there are fake IDs.
Yes.
Very concerning. That's very concerning.
How do you plan to deal with this issue of fake voter IDs circulating?
Well, we need to ensure that our indoor agents and the people who are in the polling stations and outside, are properly trained and are alert to this issue. And we've been in dialogue with the Electoral Office of Jamaica as well to ensure that IDs are thoroughly checked against the records, and so that if there are fake IDs that are presented where a picture doesn't correspond, to what is on record, or that person can be identified and appropriately dealt with. So we're very uncomfortable with it. It's not something anybody should feel comfortable with.
Nobody.
We're just trying to be extra vigilant so that it doesn't become a problem.
Straight.
When last has there been a Vale Royal talk with Mark Golding and Andrew Willis?
Why, donkeys years ago, as my granny would say. I don't know. The last time was a good while back, over a year, I think. And there are some issues which we need to discuss and try and resolve. Including issues to do with constitutional reform, for example. And I don't think that we can achieve much in the area of constitutional reform if both parties are not on board. And they know we're not on board with what they're doing. So they should really try and engage with us in a respectful manner, and let us discuss it and see if we can find common ground. And I spoke that yesterday in my speech, but that's for another occasion.
Another occasion?
Yeah.
I want to go back a little bit more in your presentation. Yesterday, you thoroughly carried the discussion about the reform of healthcare. As we speak, many of our hospitals don't have a CT scan machine.
Damn shame.
And MRI are outsourced.
Damn shame.
You said that under PNP administration, there will be at least one CT scan and MRI in each parish as a start. No ventilators have to be on the corridors, all of that, each day.
We're good?
What does a reform of healthcare under Mark Jefferson administration look like?
People, we're good? Are we good? We're good? Okay, we're good, okay. I just want to make sure that we're not buffering.
Well, which, involve mounting billions of dollars, like the Cornwall Regional Hospital, which started as a $2 billion project and is now at over $21 billion 7 years later, and it's still not functioning properly. That is a disgrace, and nobody has been held to account for it. So we really want to enhance the delivery of healthcare in the clinics and hospitals. Patients go to the hospital to be diagnosed as to what's wrong and to be treated, and then to return home and feel better, And we have a problem right now because of screening at the level that we need to do. And I read some appalling statistics, which I want to repeat since I have an audience and you here.
Yes,
in Jamaica, 70% of colon cancers, that's bowel cancer, are now are diagnosed at advanced stages. When you're in real problems. Not early on where it can be
70%, bro. Come on, man.
70%. 90% of breast cancer are detected by a lump over a year after the cancer started.
Terrible.
Prostate cancer is normally diagnosed after it has spread beyond the prostate.
Wow.
50% of diabetic patients, 40% of hypertensive patients have sugar and pressure. They have no idea that they have the disease. 50% of people with diabetes don't know they have diabetes. And 40% of people with pressure don't know they have pressure.
I got packaging.
Yeah.
It is really bad.
It is bad. And we need to put a proper screening process in place, because a lot of these things can be dealt with, with very successful outcomes.
Ideas.
You catch it early and you deal with it early. So we plan to launch national screening programs to identify these diseases that are the top killers of our people and treat them early and more effectively. Prevention and early treatment are easier, cheaper, and more effective than late cure. So that's one aspect of us, of what we plan to do. We also see the need to ensure that operating theatres are properly maintained. Right now,
theatres that Christoph done don't have working.
That's right, KPH, 4 theatres closed. Cornwall Regional, no surgery. St. Anne's Bay, Anotto Bay, National Chest Hospital, all of these have non-functional operating theatres. It is a terrible situation. And there's been really such poor attention to maintaining equipment. Basic equipment, air conditioning units. Right now there's a mold problem at KPH.
My God.
Yeah, as a result of AC units not working as they should. So, the emphasis needs ensuring that the things that are necessary for basic healthcare that is needed by our people to be delivered in a dignified way, in a way which is accessible to them. That is not being done. And the standard of care in the public health system has suffered. And you see that there have been problems with industrial unrest, with all levels, even the consultants at the highest level of the system.
Mark
have
G.
Have taken their own
Mark gets it, yo. He gets it.
Action. The situation is in crisis. We have who has been in the public health system for many years. He's a consultant surgeon in his own right. He's been the head of
Dr. Dawes.
Confidence in a Dr. Alfred Dawes.
Yes.
Rather than a doctor to do this work. That is the system.
Yeah, I have confidence in
real doctor.
Our man has worked in the system and knows medicine.
I realize that the key portfolios for growth in this country, you find the professionals to get the work done, because you align a Dawes to healthcare, you align an educator to
education.
Mm-hmm. You go to entrepreneurship and innovation. You took up a young Andre Harton and you aligned.
Yes.
And he's an entrepreneur too, as well as
an entrepreneur. Yeah. So, is this the kind of visionary leadership that we should get in terms of aligning the professionals to the ministries to get the work done, to make things go in the right direction?
Absolutely.
Yes. That's right. And in the justice
great
area,
question,
we have
Andre.
A very experienced and senior attorney, Donna Scott Motley, highly respected in that area as well. I believe we need to put the best talent, the talent that has the most experience and knowledge of their area in the right positions to get the best results.
Simple.
And that's my job, really, is to try and achieve that as the person who makes those decisions.
But I want to ask you, there have been some utterance from the Prime Minister and his surrogates that they will not surrender Jamaica to the
Talk about it.
How do you plan to deal with that?
I spoke about it yesterday in my speech. I said that is a very damning statement. That is not a statement I've heard any leader of a country say before.
Terrible, man.
You don't own Jamaica.
Disgraceful.
The people of Jamaica, that is not a statement I've heard any leader of a country say before. The JLP don't own Jamaica. The PNP don't own Jamaica. The people of Jamaica own Jamaica. And they have a right to choose the government that they want every 4 to 5 years.
Guys, can you imagine if Trump said that? We will not allow the Democrats. We will not give up America to the Democrats. Can you imagine if Trump said that? It sounds very dictatorial, doesn't it? Guys, the whole DNA of the Jamaica Labour Party presently in this time and age is dictatorial. They have a leader that displays dictatorship, utters dictatorship, moves in a dictatorship type of way, and this entire party follows. It's clear. It's pretty clear to me.
4 to 5 years. That's why we have a constitution. You can't be telling the people of Jamaica that the opposition can't win an election. It is a very
play that back.
That they want every 4 to 5 years. That's why we have a constitution. You can't be telling the people of Jamaica that the opposition can't win an election. It is a very anti-democratic and dictatorial tone. And this is from somebody who made his senators sign pre-signed undated letters of resignation so that he could ensure that if they didn't vote the way he wanted on certain issues, he could get rid of them. And that was struck down by the court. Yes. The same Prime Minister who appointed the Chief Justice of the country and put him on probation. Hey! So he could say, test whether or not he was comfortable with him when we have separation of powers.
On the lines of dictatorship, Macwood.
Well, I'm saying there's a tendency that we're seeing, and those utterances were consistent with that tendency. So I had to drape him up about it yesterday.
Drape him up!
Because he has to understand that when he does these things, there are people who will speak out against it.
Of course.
People have a right to choose the government they want and to get rid of the government they don't want. And no Prime Minister should tell them anything else.
Oh, you mean?
Rude. Disrespect.
Drape him up. Marky G said drape him up. Yo. Listen, man. I'm just listening to this. I did not watch the interview. This is my raw reaction. And of course, I am going to be doing segments of this interview. This is the hottest thing since sliced bread. I can't wait till my internet come back. Mighty God of Daniel. Earlier morning, people. Let's step out earlier morning.
I just want to spend a little bit more time because
I know, because it's gone over already.
I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Some of them over there saying that they need to see your passport to see whether or not you're fully Jamaican now.
Wait.
According to them, they want to know if you did rescind your British visa. Like a Daryl Vaz.
Daryl Vaz was a dual citizen in breach of the Constitution. You know, because he was not a Commonwealth dual citizen. He was a dual citizen outside of the Commonwealth, which is not permitted by our Constitution. The matter was taken to court, and the court ruled that that was improper, and that was when he decided to give up his U.S. citizenship. You know, my father was from the United Kingdom, and as a youth coming up, I was entitled to British citizenship by descent. I'm born in Jamaica. I was born in University Hospital. I lived my life in Jamaica. I've never worked anywhere else in Jamaica. I did some studying in the UK, and that was it. So I had the British passport. It wasn't an issue because our constitution allows it. However, when it became an issue last year, and there was a big kerfuffle about it, I said, you know, let me check out how the people of Jamaica feel about it. And we did our own poll. We didn't publish. We do polls all the time to assess what's going on and how people feel about things. And when I saw that there was a good enough chunk of Jamaicans who didn't think that their leader should have a dual nationality, I said, here what? I don't want my status to be an issue. You know, I don't want my status to, for example, in any seat where we have a candidate that's a close seat, for it to be used as a thing that might make their chances not as strong as we want. So I said I would renounce it, and I have renounced it. And I paid £400 and something to renounce it, and the renunciation came through in August last year. In fact, I can show it. If you have 2 minutes, I can go get the document and hold it.
Prove it to the market Jamaica. Bangarang market them approve it tonight. If them go show them tonight, Jamaica.
Let me mark the timestamp when Marky G showing papers. Oh my God.
Ball out!
Whoa! We need help, Jesus.
Jamaica need help. Shift the parliament. Shift the election. Shift everything. Remove them out there. Take out the cockroach. Take out the thief. Take out the criminal them. Take out the thief them. Take out the murderer them. Take out the gang leader them. Out of parliament. Take them out. From Portland. Take them out. I hear Portland. Me go to Portland. Why me travel to Portland? Take out somebody. Man or woman.
Yeah, man.
Yes,
Yes, Andre. So, as I said, in August it came through. So, here is the cover letter. How am I going to make you see it now? It's difficult, eh? I don't know if you can read. That's addressed to me.
Yes.
Yeah. And the date.
Home office, see it there?
Home office, yeah. And the date, you can see the date?
Yeah, the UK. Bring it up a little bit more, Mr. Golding. See there, the reference and all of those something.
Yeah.
Oh.
The date is right. The date is right here where my finger is. You can see it.
August 5th. Also, it was the day before independence.
There you go. All right. And it's captioned renunciation of British citizenship. You see it?
See there, backside, see there.
Yeah.
Did what the proofs the market G got did there.
So that's the cover letter. Yeah. That's cover letter signed by this person, whoever that's an officer of the
Leslie Davis.
Davis, UK Visas and Immigration Department 73. All right. Yeah. So that's the cover letter. And this is a certificate. No.
Yes, the UK. See there. Declaration of renunciation. See there, Jamaica. Why would the man be telling a lie?
Yeah. And it's signed over here on the back. See the same thing. So this is it. And it has a seal and everything. Where is it?
Mr. Golding, you need not to say anything more to them.
Yeah.
The man go for the papers, Jamaica. Marky G. When the man said Daryl Vaz, Marky G kissing teeth as a real Jamaican style. Joker smoke of that. Yo! Man, listen. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think I'm going to sleep long tonight. Because if my internet does not click in as I wake tomorrow, I'll be going to an area where internet is kicking. And I have the quiet space to make a live stream, and we are going to be talking. We are going to have calls and all of that. Let's continue. This is amazing. This is amazing, guys.
Yeah, that's it.
This
I'm glad I
is
got the chance to. To be honest, let me tell you, it's my personal life. I've said it. I told the media from when it happened. It was carried in the Glean and so on. I thought people would accept what I say. I'm accustomed to telling the truth. Yes. But Daryl has continued to make an issue of it for whatever reason. Yeah, and there you go. So there you have it. All right.
You silenced the argument and done the argument now.
The argument done.
Argument done.
So right now I need a visa.
Hey!
If I want to go to the UK. And I haven't got one. I haven't applied yet. But
when you become Prime Minister, in a few more months, that's 4 year team.
Yo, man, listen, bro. Listen, what else does the JLP have to attack this man with? Their trump card is done, and it's been done since August of last year. So Mark Golding has allowed the JLP to make a total ass of themselves for, let me see, September, October, December, November. No, September, October, November, December, January, February. He has allowed them to make a total ass of themselves for 6 months and a few weeks. It may be even 7. No, it's actually 7 months. Because when I check back, it was from August 5th. So, September 5th, October 5th, November 5th, December 5th, January 5th, and then February 5th. And we have already patched March 5th. So he has allowed them to make an ass of themselves for literally 7 months and a week and some days. Embarrassing. What else do they have? What else does Daryl Vaz and Joe Oles have? I would say to Mark Golding, sir, please increase your security detail. Or I hope your security detail is sufficient. And also, make sure you're covered. Most importantly. All right? Because, remember, according to Daryl Vaz, not my word, there was an attempt on his life to an attempt on somebody around him to poison them so they could discredit his political career. He even stated that business partners have been approached to not do business with him. And he stated that there's people out here that will go to many different lengths to maintain their status quo. Marky G. Let's pray for Marky G, guys. What he is planning to do is not what certain people want to happen. Impeachment, audit of all ministries, a commission to investigate the SSL and everything, all of those, the Integrity Commission report. Yeah. Pray for Marky G. Let's continue.
See to it that all of those visas right across the hemisphere and the world is dealt with, so that you can go and renew.
I don't think it would be a problem. As a leader of the opposition, I have a diplomatic passport and so on. So it's not an issue. I just haven't had the need to go through the process because I haven't been.
I want to ask Matthew Samuda if he could equally do the same tonight.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting question.
I would want Minister Matthew Samuda to equally show the renunciation of his British passport or his British citizenship. Because if Mark Golding has done it, I'm equally sure that everyone else who has pretended to be able to prove it, who agree.
Yes, I agree. And the people who have dual citizenship of America, them need for sure so them denounce them think they're not supposed to be in a parliament. Can I get an amen, guys? Hey. Can I get an amen?
Should be able to country and to the public that he has rescinded his British visa. And we're not talking about the next 2 weeks. We're talking about tomorrow morning. He has exclusive right to some media houses that Mr. Golding wouldn't have exclusive to. So I'm sure that Minister Samuda,
shots fired.
To do that.
Shots fired.
Thank you very much, Andre. Andre, I have to.
Final, because there's a final thing.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Are you concerned about the police killings that have started at the beginning of this year?
Well, put it this way.
You know, it's funny. This is when I woke up, you know. I woke up right here to hear him ask that question. I woke up and turned on my phone. I never even realized that all I had to do was just reverse or rewind the tape to hear and show that moments ago he showed that he's no longer a British citizen. But I heard him in the parliament, and when he said Jamaican citizens like me have to get a visa, I said, whoa, Mark Golding is telling everybody that he is only a Jamaican. He's no longer a dual citizen. Big bang of that, man.
Numbers are significantly up, you know, and, you know, I fully support the law enforcement and our brave police officers who put themselves in danger to keep us safe. But, you know, we have a history, and the history has necessitated the establishment of institutions, independent institutions, so that where somebody steps over a certain line, you know, the citizen has some recourse, and there's some accountability for that. And that is very important. And the Indicom was set up by the Jamaica Labour Party. It came under their watch, and I give them credit for that. So, you know, when you see the numbers...
You see how easy it is for Mark Golding to give the JLP credit? Character. That's character.
Up in a fairly drastic way, or a fairly significant way, put it that way. You know, it is some cause for concern.
It's terrorism.
I don't want to judge the matter. I don't want to judge the matter. But, you know, the body cameras, for example, which is a device that is used internationally, you know, so that when law enforcement go on special operations and there might be a situation of confrontation, they can show that they've acted in accordance with the law. They use force if necessary, but only if necessary, and so on. They have that protection, so that if there's an accusation made against them, they have it on video recorded that they did what they had to do and they didn't do anything that they shouldn't do. But we're not seeing any real move to put that in place. And
so that's one thing. Will the instituting full body cameras a part of your crime plan?
We will work with the police and ensure that that is adopted as a normal practice. So that, you know, we have that kind of thing to protect the police and protect the citizens.
Right.
I think it's important so that the people as a whole, especially in communities where these types of operations happen more often, that the citizens have confidence in the police. Because it's when you have confidence in the police that the police get information. And it's the information that enables the police to take necessary action to keep us safe. So there's a symbiotic relationship. There's a benefit to both sides to having a good relationship between the citizens and the police. The police understand that. And so I want to encourage things that would make that stronger to have a better and safer Jamaica.
But you know, there was one thing that the PNP administration did.
No, ladies and gentlemen, I had to pause there to highlight that because I understand the answer that Mark Golding gave in terms of the police. You have to understand that he's a legislator, he's a law person, so the way how he would answer a question like that is not the way of a regular citizen like me. He's looking at it like, yo, these dudes is just, you know what I'm saying, doing the most. But he said everything that he need to say for me to be confident, because making the body cams a regular thing, you know, is imperative. Because he made a point, and that's the valid point. I've been saying it too. For the longest, you protect the police integrity, and the police protects his own integrity. I was watching a clip of a movie on YouTube where the girl was running down a guy and he literally jumped off the building. Her partner was questioning whether or not she pushed him off the building, and she went into the office, to the chief with her body cam to prove to him that everything was on the up and up. And just as she was coming out of the office, the man came in to say to the chief, listen, I suspect some foul play with my partner. I think she probably, the suspect said that she pushed him off the rail, and I believe the suspect. But guess what? He was inaccurate because the body cam showed that the man jumped off of the damn building. So to protect the police job, protect him integrity, so it cannot be questioned, the body cams is vitally necessary, ladies and gentlemen, moving forward. Jamaica is too far behind with technology in that capacity. I mean, we have body cams all over the world, and in some cases, these dudes are still doing horrible things to people. You feel me? Them turn off them body cam, all of this. But when they turn off their body cam and they go in court, that is when them in a trouble again. Because why did you turn off your body cam? Right? Everybody body cam does not work? Yes. You know, at night time, the big unit, them running on. Well, them run all day, but them mostly drive at night when the road is more clearer. So, you know what it go. But anyway, let's continue. It's almost done.
You invested significantly in intervention programs,
Yes.
such as Unite for Change.
Correct.
All of those initiatives have basically gone to naught.
Yes.
And so you plan to reinvent all of those social initiatives through the kind of citizenship policing that is necessary. But that is for another time.
All right.
The final issue, Mr. Gold. So this is the final one.
All right.
It is everybody wondering tonight is the bread and butter issue.
Man, I squeeze out everything out of that interview.
Jamaicans are wondering, how do they get a better economy with a Mark Golding-led administration? If you're to talk to the teachers and nurses, the youth on the corner tonight, those who are in the bar, the hairdressers, because a lot of them listening, a lot of bartenders listening tonight, thousands of people are listening.
Yep.
Those who are in the diaspora listening, and we're hoping that you'll be able to come back first to strengthen this discussion.
Yeah.
How do you plan to champion change for a better Jamaica, a better economy in this country?
Now, that's a big question you've asked. And, you know, tonight won't be the night for us to have that complete discussion, as you have said. But what I would start with is saying this. We believe in the importance of proper management of the fiscal affairs. We are the ones who took the debt after the JLP crashed the IMF program under Bruce Golding and then Andrew Holness. When we came to power at the beginning of 2012, we had a problem and we addressed it. And by the time we left office in just 4 years, the debt had come down from 147% of GDP, according to the official measures, down to 115 through the reforms that were brought and the proper fiscal stagnant growth. Last year we had negative growth. The economy actually got smaller in 2024 than it was the year before.
Yeah.
And we have to be focused on productivity. So I want to start by saying we have costed our proposals and we're satisfied that we can realign. There's $360 billion of discretionary expenditure in the budget. Those are decisions that the government of the day make as to how to allocate resources. $360 billion. That's separate from salaries, separate from interest payments. All right?
Ooh.
We have costed our proposals, and we are satisfied that we can readjust those programs, and some things that they are doing we may not be as keen on. We may scale them down or eliminate them altogether, and we will introduce the programs that we think will benefit the Jamaican people. Feeding the children in the schools, helping rural children get with the bus fares, etc. The first child in university, etc. We have a number of good ideas.
Education.
So those are, and then training. Yeah, training is fundamental because what we're hearing, even though there's this low unemployment rate, the official rate, and that is because we have a lot of people earning very low salaries, you know, basically hungry same way, but don't have a job, and we have 600, nearly 700,000 people who are over 14 who are not in the labor force. They don't count towards that statistic. Yet the private sector is saying they can't find people to do jobs. And they want to import. They want to import workers, and that is because we haven't really focused on skilling our workers and providing proper training, modern training opportunities for people to learn the skills of the emerging economy of the world, which are things to do with digital, literacy and, other skills related to robotics, other skills related to how you manage.
This part that Mark Golden is talking about, Andre Horton is going to play an integral role in. He really knows the industries, especially when it comes to, morphing technology into all the industries. Yeah, and between him and Damian Crawford in terms of what they would need for education, and then we have the training, you have Hart. It's going to be a collaborative effort to make sure that the people of Jamaica, our youth, the workforce, is and older people, even myself, have no issue to go and do a course in one of those or two of those areas, so I can equip myself to the point where, hey, I can be multifaceted in my economic advancement. You understand, and contribute my services to the growth of our economy and the growth of Jamaica. Period. So I'm excited to find out what they have what they have planned, and what areas I could choose to get involved in. I love it. Big up, Marky G and the
distribution and
PNP.
logistics economy, which is increasingly going to be how Jamaica lifts itself out in the doldrums. And we'll be focusing on those things to increase national productivity, grow the economy, so that we can have more resources coming into the country to do other things to uplift our people and to make our people nice and deliver a good quality of life for our people. That is where we are now. We no longer have a massive debt problem. We've solved that. But what we haven't solved is how to get the economy moving.
A growth strategy and a development.
Correct. But we can talk about that another time.
We're going to talk about that, and I hope you will not take long to return to this platform.
Well, we can talk about that.
Yes,
I don't want to be too familiar, so that I become boring. I want to.
No. You'll never be able to boring on a partner track.
That is true.
That is true. There is a lady who is a mother to you. She goes by the name Miss Winnie. She's a Jamaican living in Barbados. Miss Winnie said, I must tell Mark Golding, her son, that she loves you and she watching you in Barbados tonight. And when you win the election, she asking that you send for her to come so she can sit at King's House and witness you being sworn in as Prime Minister of Jamaica.
That's beautiful.
You coming here, and as I said, you are welcome and you're a friend now to Partner Draw TV. It's not everyone we'll invite to this program. So we are now inducting you as a friend to PDTV, and you are able to come, and if you want the manifesto to be spoken on this platform, you have this. If you want to do your town hall meetings on this platform, you have this platform. But I'm telling you, Mr. Golden, thousands of Jamaicans in the diaspora, and I should say thank you, because they've got a greater understanding, a refreshing mindset of the champion for change. So thank you, Mr. Golden.
Thank you. And if I may just say in response, thank you to Miss Winnie for the love and support in Barbados, and I look forward to meeting you, ma'am. I want to thank you, Andre, for hosting me. Doing so eloquently and so professionally.
But I never call you with jellyback fish. I never call with jellyback fish, Mr. Golden.
No,
it's not you we call with jellyback fish. And I am sure you have appreciated my honest critiques.
Oh, yeah. Yes. And I just want to say how much I admire what you've achieved, Andre. I know you're a multi-talented young man. You can do many different things, but what you've been doing with this PDTV, how you've grown your customer base and the impact that you're having, it is really remarkable. And I just want to say respect. You keep up the good work, and we'll be back and we'll have a good conversation in due course.
All right, Mr. Golding, I'll make sure you get some of the shrimp. Like we talk them good.
All right. Thank you very much for having me. God bless.
Thank you.
All right. All right, I'm out.
Yes, I'm out. Hey!
I want to sound on my nose. I'm out. Yo, man, like I said, I still maintain that this interview was a 10 out of 10. Big up Andre Stevens. You understand? Yeah, him work hard, so him deserve it. I have to give people them flowers, you know. Big up Andre Stevens, man. Man, I am happy that this happened. And I'm here doing a reaction to it. I have to give it a 10 out of 10. Um, I'm even more excited now after the budget. Um, you know, if you see Mark Golding even show the people his documentation, and again, to the people that had an issue with that, shame on you. Shame on you for having those devils in the Jamaica Labour Party, those ministers of government. They know themselves that was making this an issue when by law it is not an issue. It's still not an issue up to this point. But credit to Mark Golding for taking one for the team, because that's essentially what he did. Mark Golding led by example, ladies and gentlemen, when he decided he would not continue with that situation. He led by example. Right? The people, they said they did a poll. They did their own poll to find out what was going on in the minds of the people of Jamaica. I didn't even know that the People's National Party did their own polls to show you how much they are staying on the ground with the people to learn and understand what they want. Listen, I cannot overstate this. The man is literally the opposite of Andrew Honest, and that is a great thing. He actually cares about what the people want, and he shows in action, not just promises. Oh, I promised to do this. From August 5th of last year, full citizen of Jamaica 100%. Why aren't the Jamaican people asking Andrew Honest to denounce his pledge to the Privy Council and the King? Why aren't we asking Andrew Honest, demanding him to take his pledge from the King? Take his allegiance from the King. Something that he didn't have to do. He was already the Prime Minister of Jamaica. Still is the Prime Minister of Jamaica. Right? But on principle, right? You are serving two masters, Andrew Honest. And you guys cannot now use that argument against Mark Golding, because the facts and evidence show that the man is now a Jamaican citizen only. And he will have to go through the process of getting a visa for the UK. Right? But Andrew, you're a part of the Privy Council. So you have one foot in Jamaica's business and one foot in with the Privy Council. How are you going to spearhead a transformation of the Constitution when you are a part of the Privy Council? And the Jamaican people wonder why the Jamaica Labour Party is taking their stance that the final court should be maintained in the first phase. They don't want to remove the final court being the Privy Council. Well, you guys are still wondering why? He's attached to the Privy Council. That's it. Andrew Honest, our leader, is attached to the Privy Council. He has pledged allegiance to the King. That is where his loyalty is. He doesn't care about us and what we think as the people. Right? He doesn't care that we want to move away from the man. How much years has the people of Jamaica been requesting from government that we remove ourselves and become independent of the King, or the Queen, or England, or the UK? How many years have we been pushing for this? How many years have activists and activist groups been pushing for Jamaica to be free of the enslaved the slave masters system? For many years. Many years. And it has been a consistent demand and a push for that change. And now, whilst Andrew Honest, I mean, he has an opportunity, even with the constitutional reform, to leave a legacy, but he refuses. Him and his party refuse to, one, let the impeachment stay, Since as you're talking about good governance and transparency, let impeachment stay. So when we find the evidence of any skullduggery by anybody in your government, then go to prison. Why is it that you and Marlon Malawu Fort want to take out impeachment and Johannes? Why is the Jamaica Labour Party championing removing impeachment from the Constitution? You have to ask these critical questions. So more have to big up Marky G again for his clear stance in regards to removing ourselves from Britain. But he removed himself as well because he's now a 100% a Jamaican citizen. When I go say it now. Oh, and yo, can I go on Twitter? Can I go on Twitter before I go? Listen, man. Daryl Vaz, shame. Shame, shame, shame. Let me look for Damian Crawford's. Let me look for Damian Crawford's Twitter. Because it was lit. It was absolutely lit, ladies and gentlemen. Damian Crawford. Damian Crawford. Alright. Hold on. So, bro, why have what? That's crazy. Maybe I should put Damian Crawford Jamaica. Well, everybody's silent, so. Well, I see a lot of hashtags Damian Crawford, but what about his page? Crawford. No. But I'm not finding Damian Crawford at all. Should I type in Daryl Vaz? Daryl Vaz. Oh, here we go. Find him though. I wonder if he delete the post that man put up. See, why Damian Crawford don't have a blue tick? I don't like that. Let me follow him. So, look at this. I don't know if y'all can see that. So Damian Crawford says, sigh, our education is failing badly. 500 million times 3 years is absolutely not 1.5 trillion. Are you mad? Yo, bro, how did Daryl Vaz make this mistake, bro? Yo, I'm screenshotting this, bro. I'm screenshotting this. I am screenshotting this. This is sad, man. Yeah, this is sad right here. People actually reposted this? Oh no. They actually reposted it? So hold on, Daryl Vaz really? Oh, somebody else. Oh, look at this. Look at this person right here. So this person put up 450,000 students at 500 per day, 20 days a month, 4.5 billion per month. Here's an idea of math concerned with the school feeding program we just heard. So Daryl Vaz posted, the opposition promises 1 degree per household, sponsored by the state, will cost approximately 1.5 trillion over 3 years. Even if scaled back, it can cost between 250 to $500 million per year. The opposition must be asked to state how they will fund this without dramatically raising taxes. I'm trying to push a narrative, Why aren't the people demanding Kandra and his family and their friends to surrender their US visa so as to keep with the Cuban doctors? It is their decision ultimately, I really would hope that we as a people would stand, documentedly stand, protest peacefully to demand the government to do so. I totally agree with you on that. Totally agree with you on that. But he says here that the opposition must be asked to state how they will fund this without dramatically raising taxes. To be fair, both Julian and Mark, neither of them have committed to not raising taxes to fund these programs. They keep talking about taxes, but they have collected the most taxes. They have collected a record number of taxes over the last 10 years. And we all understand the reason why now is because of the strict tax collection system that was put in place, the efficient tax collection system that was put in place. With the help of the previous administration, they left that system behind. And as Mark Golding stated in the parliament, that Nigel Clark actually thanked the government, the previous government, and gave them their flowers in that regard for creating that system, ladies and gentlemen. So I mean, what is he talking about? Taxes. You guys are collecting a lot of taxes, right? You guys are even targeting the taxi system, the taxi men them. So no $1.5 billion, like, no, not 1.5 billion. How much was it? 2 billion? Something to that effect. Or 1.8, I don't remember the full figure. Anyway, so that's what Daryl Vaz posted, and Damian Crawford said, sigh. Education is failing badly. 5 million times 3 years is absolutely not $1.5 trillion. 5 million. 3 years, 5 million. Add 5 million to each other is not 1.5 trillion. That is 0.1% of the budget. The 1.5 billion is 0.1% of the budget. So the concern that Daryl Vaz has in terms of the $500 million for 1 degree per household, you have to wonder to yourself, why are they so opposed to things like this? To the point that he's going to make an error. Daryl Vaz is just made an error in his math. That's embarrassing, He doesn't know that 500 million times 3 is 1.5 billion. It doesn't matter if you multiply it or you add them together. It's 1.5 trillion. 1.5 billion, sorry. He's making me talk foolishness. 500 million times 3 is $1.5 billion. But on a public platform like Twitter, Daryl Vaz has not deleted this post yet. So he says here, he replies, 1.5 billion times 1 million households is 1.5 trillion. The average degree is the average degree in 3 years. Scaling it back for your benefit to assume that everyone does not matriculate at the same point. We are looking at minimum 500 million per year. Use a calculator if you need. You are embarrassing yourself. Come out strong. So Damian Crawford said, LOL, you're not ready, man. Zero capacity. Yo, Damian Crawford even continue with him. Yo, Damian Crawford don't even continue with him. Right? He don't even continue with him. But I'm sure Damian Crawford is going to use this opportunity to embarrass Daryl Vaz all the way to the election with this Twitter post. I'm going to screenshot this as well because he doubled down. See? He doubled down. He actually doubled down. Damian Crawford said, "Bro, you're not ready, bro. You're not ready, bro. Sad to say, but you're just not ready." Yeah. Yo, Damian even have paid no mind, like only 2 times Damian answer him. And there was an issue with Nationwide. Damian Crawford had to come out and do a video. What the hell did Nationwide do? Let me look on his Instagram page. Because I missed some stories, big up Attack for the Press. Because, yeah. What the hell is this? Okay. Big up Attack for the Press because, me tell her, she continues to do an amazing job. Trust me. Let me see Damian Crawford. You start following them on them page, so we can stay in tune with some things going on in it. Damian Crawford, is it what? I wonder if probably the PMP page you come on. I'm gonna go back on Twitter. I'm gonna go on the PMP page on Twitter. Let me see if I find it. Man, you guys are up late with me. Salute to y'all, man. Appreciate y'all. PMP. Oh, there they are right here. Let me see if I find the video with Damian Crawford addressing Nationwide with their statements that they made. With the article that they put out. I guess it's not on here. It must be on his TikTok. See a TikTok, I see it on for true. It's a TikTok video. I'm talking my Attack for Press play. But hold on, let me find Attack for Press video. Sad, yeah, man. Hey, Kelena, man, God is not sleeping, guys. All lies will be exposed, that's all. And if you take it the wrong way, you know why you take it the wrong way. Yes. Right here, this is it. This is the video.
Hey, wie heißt du? Mein Name ist Victoria. Meinst du, mein Name ist Victoria?
And we want one plan because put on the Jamaica Labour Party. Even though them are going like them are activists, they are. Everybody can see it. And they're not now hide. Everybody can see it. Especially George Davis, the whole of them. And guess what? Cliff Hughes is the same thing. He's no different. Because them out here are mislead the people and Damian Crawford tired of it. So my wisdom warriors, listen to our future education minister, Damian Crawford.
Yeah, man, Jamaica. I'm making this video because I believe that the public mistake made by Nationwide cannot be corrected by simply removing the article nor a private conversation. It has long been my opinion that Nationwide is a station that has positioned themselves as an activist for the Jamaica Labour Party. That is no big deal to me because everybody have a right to choose how it is that they want and who it is that they want to lead their country. However, I believe it's a risk to democracy when a station proposing to be a journalist station is misleading and misguiding individuals with the information that they spread. I said before, and I always say, personally, I have respect for Cliff Hughes. I see his effort in building his business, in sustaining it, even though times are changing and the landscape has evolved. And I can imagine the effort when put in building his business and keeping his business. So me have respect and ratings for anybody coming out the difficulty trying to build and keep a business. But I can't allow this one to slide without saying something publicly because I don't believe the corrective actions are reasonable and fair. Anyway, I want you to listen to what I said on Sunday, and then we have a conversation after that. Please listen.
Freedom to achieve is one business per household. I tired for see in a one yard, two sisters have two different bars. You know when we start do from what day, we start study rich people come on rich. I don't see rich people split up them effort and don't put it in a one accord. We want one business per household. Some people already have them business. All Scotty have to do is to improve it. Some people already make them furniture, they might just want a sander. But when a man come to me and say want a start, it must be into something. You have some people that come for 3, 4 start, that a false start, disqualified.
So that is what I said in St. Elizabeth on Sunday. I was imploring the people, asking the people, yo, listen, invest in a business and work together as a family unit to build that business. I've seen it from people like Butch Stewart and his family. I've seen it from people like Grace Kennedy and what they have done as a family, CB Group, and what they have done as a family, the Hendricksons. And I said to the people, work together as a family. Somehow from that, Nationwide chose to put a headline that I basically suggest or promise that if PMP should get power, every household would have a business. That was never what I said and could never be understood from what I said. I indeed made up the proposal that there would be a trust loan that increasingly offer more funds once a person proved their ability and willingness to pay. When I heard it and saw it, somebody sent me the headline. I contacted Nationwide, and having reviewed the tape, they recognized that there was a mistake, and yet still the only solution that they have offered is simply to remove the misleading article and not to correct the statements that were made. Now, this is not the first time this is being done by Nationwide. In the last election, Nationwide carried an article that suggested that I said that we would remove money from PATH or use PATH as a source of funding to fund the budget. Now, PATH isn't a source of income, and I actually said HEART. No, the proper pronunciation is HEART, H-E-A-R-T, HEART Trust. So I said HEART, and they said they heard PATH. When they listened, they couldn't figure if it was HEART or PATH. And instead of taking my explanation, instead of recognizing the facts that it could not have been PATH, being that PATH isn't a source of funds, they said that basically I'm offering an explanation. It wasn't an explanation, it was a misquote, and as far as I'm concerned, a purposeful misquote. What they're doing, in my opinion, is threatening democracy by suggesting journalistic confidence when they're actually acting in a way to try and position the PMP in a negative way, purposely. I repeat, there was never a time that I said the PMP will give people a business. There's no way the PMP could give people a business. I was encouraging the people, first of all, to be educated, to seek to own something, and to seek to make a profit by cooperating with each other within the family unit and the household as an entity. So I'm making this video not to disrespect, not to violate, but to ensure people understand, to take what Nationwide says about the People's National Party with a grain of salt, and also to recognize that there is never a time in that presentation that I suggested in any way that the PMP will give one business to every household unit. That is a ridiculous proposition that they could have easily called to clarify. So I would hope to get more reasonable redress. However, what they said was not true, and I believe it was purposeful.
Nationwide. Nationwide. Listen, I made a mistake recently. You know, I thought that Pastor Mark Stewart, in the timing of mentioning Portmore, in one of his live streams, the same time when the gerrymandering thing was going on, I misunderstood what he was saying, and I titled my video in such a way based off the misunderstanding. Yes, and I corrected it, and I also offered an apology, explaining my side and basically showed what he said. And I caught it while he was live when he was saying a vlogger did this and this, and I was like, wait a minute. I said I did a video about, and he said I was not talking about Portmore becoming a parish. And I said I am sorry and I apologize, and he said that's fine and I have to be more careful. And I took that very, very seriously. And like I said, I apologize. I did a whole entire video apologizing and setting the record straight. So what Damian Crawford is talking about is that, in his opinion, Nationwide has repeatedly done this because of their bias towards the JLP. Again, another instance where Nationwide has been exposed. Because all they have to do is be honest and say, listen, we support Andrew Honest. Period. That's all. Over here, I don't make no mistake. I don't support Andrew Honest. I don't support this government. I think they're terrible for us, and we need to get them out. Anybody else but Andrew and the government, not just him, the whole of them. You understand? Anybody but them. Steak, big up. I'm doing good. I'm actually happy. Between the speech, the budget from Mark Golding yesterday, and now him coming on Andre Stevenson to reaffirm and drop the bombshell. Oh gosh, man, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And if you're a content creator, this is content gold. This is absolute gold. This is a gold mine of content. If you're in this space of content and the politics and everything, things are definitely heating up. And I'm just talking about in the digital space. I don't mean literally heating up. Yeah. So I'm very happy. Thank you very much. And I'll be sleeping anxiously tonight. And the only reason is because I want to wake up early to make sure that the Wi-Fi is working. And if it's not working, I'll be taking my ASS out the house to go to where I can get Wi-Fi to do my work. So I'll be packing my bags from now to make sure that I'm ready. We ready. We ready for y'all. One more big unit. I could sleep out here tonight. This is beautiful. Yeah, I could sleep right here. I'm good. I mean, even with the noises passing. I am so sorry I'm not able to take any calls. Plus, it's very, very late. But you can be rest assured that we will be having that situation tomorrow. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So Jamaica, I bid you guys a wonderful night. Thank you for the continued support. Shout out to all the new subs. Shout out to the day ones. And for the people that want to donate, you don't have Cash App or you don't have Zelle or PayPal, just reach out to me on WhatsApp. The number is in the description, all right? Right at the top. And we can organize. People that are extremely serious about supporting the platform. And I want to thank those that are very, very serious about that. Sincerely, thank you. You know, thank you for all the people that watch the videos all the way through. And you don't skip, you know. Thank you for the people that hit the like button. Thank you for the people that watch parts of the videos. Thank you for all the support. Alright. So Andre Stevens, man, congratulations on this interview with Mark Golding. This was huge. You did an excellent job. Full score of 100. I can't lie. Like, that was an excellent interview, and you really pushed the envelope with the questions that you asked. I mean, there's only one question that I would ask Mark Golding, you know, and it really doesn't have anything to do with the budget per se. The only question that I would ask Mark Golding is, what is his stance with the Samoa agreement? If I had an opportunity to interview him, I would ask him that. What is his stance with the Samoa agreement? What does he understand from the Samoa agreement? What does it entail? And how does it affect the culture of Jamaica moving forward in terms of our education system? And I would raise the reference of what happened with the Ministry of Education, with the teaching of sex education, of the LGBT persuasion in the online system that was retracted. I would ask him that question. But I can see how the budget thing was the main emphasis, but that's really a bone of contention for me, because you see, you can do whatever you want with your life, and you can serve the devil, you can do all of these things, whatever you want to do sexually with your life, that is your business. But you see, when you're going to affect children in that manner and pretty much preach the devil's doctrine to them, this is where we part ways. And I would love to hear from Mark Golding. Where is his stance where that is concerned, as the more than likely the next leader, the Prime Minister of Jamaica, after this next general election. Tell me what you guys think about that in the comment section. What is under my nose? I'm out. Blessings to Z.